dead batteries and blown out crotches and yeah.
Don't ask, people. Don't ask. Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Ike from Flipside Music, and welcome to What the F.A.Q, What the F.A.Q, Season 3, Episode 30. And I am here with
Dylan.
And then Nico's over there with that busting through noise. There he is. Howdy ho!
Interrupting towel.
Yeah. Hey, kid. Hey, Tyler. Exciting news. The guys from South Park look like they're buying Casa Bonita.
Yeah.
Woo! It's the Disneyland and Mexican restaurants.
I hope
it's
they...
so cool.
Yeah.
All they got to do is make the food a little bit better. Like,
well, that's what I was going to say. If they made the food actually, like, decent, that place would kill. Like,
oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. The problem with Casa Bonita is the food was atrocious.
Yeah, it was like TV dinners, basically.
It was terrible. Oh, my... All they have to do is, like, up it to Qdoba level. Like, just get it to
like
the
a
level
little
of Qdoba, and that would be good. That
actually would be funny if they just do, like, catering by Qdoba just in the
it would be 1,000 times better than what it's been.
Yeah.
As everybody goes, the sopapillas are good. It's fried dough. You can't fuck that.
Well, you can, but...
in the first
I know.
minute.
Yeah.
Oh, damn you. Damn you.
I'll just have to get better at like, putting in, like, just the little quick, bleeps. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So, anyway, we're off the rails already. Casa Bonita being purchased by Colorado residents
Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Yep. Super excited. I just think it's going to be cool. I hope it's cool.
Do you think there's going to be like a dedicated Mormon section, just knowing them?
You never know.
Because that's what I'm wondering.
I got a feeling there'll be a hell. There might be a Saddam Hussein in there.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, are they going to South Park it, or is it going to be like just Casa Bonita?
I think it'd be Casa Bonita with integrated.
Right.
Because you can't change it that much, and I think they have to understand. They probably understand that if you totally do it different, it's not the same effect.
Right.
Because it's very Disneyland-like in there. It's very Pirates of the Caribbean-ish, but it's kind of glorious.
Yeah.
If they just
especially
don't
with
put
the cliff diver,
everything.
really it's just a hole, but the cliff diver and
It's so good. It's so good. Cliff divers, when you're looking at them and they're on top of a cliff, and then there's a drop ceiling above them. It's like
Well, then when you look down, it's basically just a hole.
Yeah. So anyway, we're looking forward to that. Well, now that we've gone off the rails about Casa Bonita, let's jump right into the questions. So Colin James asks us, dream guitar, build specs, parts, etc.
So he wanted us to kind of revisit, the one from last week, which...
Because I don't know if we went off the rails on that.
Yeah, I think we got super focused on the first part of it, which was like the builder, and I think he was more interested in like the actual guitar. Which you probably hit on more than I did, because like I said, mine... I mean, I'm sure Colin kind of remembers the Explorer thing, and Matt, obviously, from Texas Toast does, because it's there. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that was, like, what he mainly wanted to know is, like, what style, specs, pickups. Obviously, you seem on a P90 kick.
I'm on a P90 thing.
Although I think you could, because the Blues Hawk thing was cool, so it's like, I almost wonder, like, if you would be pretty happy with something like that, but just, like, an RD version of that. Like an RD version of a Blues Hawk where you have those P90 things, but you have that dummy coil so they're quiet, but they still have like the full...
Well, I got the Mojo Tone Noiseless in my Tele Deluxe, which is now pretty much made its way into the #1 position. So currently, is kind of the Tele Deluxe, the P90s, and then my ASAC Classic.
Oh, yeah.
And then everything else is kind of below that. Currently, that's my current...
Right. What if it was like a Fender scale RD?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Cool.
I would rather have it that because the shorter scale stuff doesn't work for me.
Right.
I don't like it.
No,
my hands are too big, so I think a Fender scale or even a PRS scale. I know it's just a half an inch.
Yeah.
Is
it's a good compromise.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's where I'd go.
Okay. What body would you think? Probably just mahogany, or would you go something a little?
I would go.
Actually, like a Swamp Ash RD would be kind of cool, just because you'd have all that.
Heavy as fuck, though.
No, because RDs are thin. RDs are like SGs.
Are they thin?
I mean, they're like Firebirds and SGs. They're pretty. They're not like, it's not like a Bodine.
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit thinner because otherwise it's killing it. Or it could be, that could.
I feel like a swamp ash one would be
a basswood wouldn't be bad because that'd give me a nice lighter kind
or
of
even
vibe.
Matt's like poplar. That could be kind of a cool one.
Yeah, and I'd paint it.
Yeah,
probably a purple.
Okay.
Maybe some kind of a purpley bit, or maybe a purple burst.
Well, that's what. Yeah, the Explorer. Yeah, I still gotta. Well, I honestly now at this point for mine, so I guess I'll just do the specs for mine since it's still in progress. I just got to get them like whatever parts I can get to get the holes drilled, I guess, because it's like everything else is just taking forever. But it'll basically be mahogany body and neck, swamp ash top, and the top was actually pretty thick. Ebony board, Fender scale, Explorer shape. But I decided to do the P rails because we have a customer, Mike Kearney, that comes in, and he had these cool guitars that always had the P rails in them. And I don't know, I thought it was one of the like most versatile pickups that wasn't doing any of the digital switching shit or any of the board shit. It was just the pickup itself was interesting. And then, did I already say it was Fender scale?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, Fender scale. And then I think Matt tried the cryo wire frets, so that'll be my first experience with those.
I have those on Ruby. It's got cryo wire.
Oh, okay.
Because Nick redid the frets on that, and then the Greco Deluxe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That also has cryo wire on it too.
Cool.
They're pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty much my. Oh, there'll be medium jumbos too, I think, because I hadn't really tried those before, so that'll be kind of a new, which is weird. I feel like that's weird in this day and age. I don't have a lot of stuff that has high frets. All my stuff's pretty classic.
I think my ASAC Classic is the only one that's got kind of medium jumbo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But everything else has kind of got more of a Fender vintagey feel to it.
Yeah, I think the Charvel's the only thing I have that has medium jumbos on it right now. But yeah, it'll be pretty cool. I mean, that one, honestly, I'll definitely demo when it is completely finished. But as busy as Matt is now, I just got to find out when he could fit the rest of that in. Because it is paid. It's paid off. I just got to get him the rest of the parts.
Get him this shit.
Yeah, well, it's like I just didn't want to go... Like, I had a very specific vision, and like the way the parts are coming, it's like it sucks. Well, so right now, it's just going to have to be placeholders until I can get the real...
Like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got to play until you get punched in the face. Yeah. So that's what's going on.
Yeah. That is true, you know. Like,
I know.
It really is, like, especially in
at this point in my life,
it really is true.
At this point in my life, I just realized that that's usually how shit is. Like, no matter how much I plan or try, it's not you're not gonna hit the mark exactly.
Yeah, it's always gonna be plan
There's always
B.
gonna be something in between that's gonna F things up or whatever. Right. You may end up at the same spot, but the path doesn't necessarily.
I think it's good to go in with a plan, but don't be too committed to it. Because, like, if you get too committed to it, then it makes it even harder.
Yeah, well, it becomes too rigid. You gotta kind of work. Sometimes.
Well, it does, but even like just the disappointment and like fighting the resistance. Because that was something I was realizing the other day of like stuff's always kind of a fight on and off for us, obviously. But I was kind of thinking like the resistance you run into, I guess I would hope would be an indication that you're on the right path and not the wrong one. I think it's a better way to start, like, because for me, like, I feel like I tend to focus on that too much, on the resistance itself, rather than just being like the resistance must be an indication that we're on the right path, kind of thing. Yeah.
The transformation is almost complete, Dylan.
Well, slowly but surely.
Yeah. He's slowly morphing into me.
As the hair goes, it just as he
starts to lose his hair and really get the better hairstyle. The transformation.
Well, I can go.
Dylan has worked with me for way too long now, and it's just yeah. He's picking up some of the.
I can go for the super heavyweight swimming class.
I'm more of a floater. You know,
well, no, you got
floating. The floating one.
Yeah.
I'm on the floaty Olympic team. That and the drinking team. All right, so moving on, let's go to Quentin James, the illustrious Quentin F. James.
So yeah, he was actually trying to correct us. I wasn't really. I'm using it as an opportunity for sort of a question. Okay. Because he thinks we didn't know the difference between vibrato and tremolo. When I know we've probably talked about that at least 5 or 6 times.
Yes, we know the difference.
Yeah, so different.
And we know why.
Yeah. So vibrato is the physical instrument on the guitar. Tremolos are a volume effect going in and out. So, what was the first amp that would have had
I think it
trem?
was like a Fender.
Well, I know it's Fender, but like I'm trying to remember which specific model. Because anyway, they basically committed to calling the tremolo on that a vibrato, and it stuck basically ever since then. It might have been. It was one of the first tremolo.
They probably had one before. I mean,
yeah, because I feel like there probably had to be
because there's like a vibro champ, but I don't know when that came out. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but timeline on it, but it was based because of Fender.
Right.
You know.
So yeah, Fender caused the misnomer, and then they committed to it for the next 70 years.
Yeah, and now it's
and now it's just
and vibrato is
interchangeable sometimes for people, but yeah, one is pitch shifting, one is volume shifting. So
okay, moving on to Nothing Here. His question is, if you had to start a pedal board from scratch, what type of non-effects pedal equipment would you use?
Okay, so all the practical stuff.
Yeah, type of pedal board, power supply, type and or brand of patch cables, standalone buffer, line drivers. If you have, what is it? Do you have one on the input, after fuzzes, a line driver at the end, or no standalone ones, tuner switches? There's all sorts of stuff in here. So that's a big question.
It is. Well, I mean, I think both of us, for the most part, prefer Voodoo Labs in terms of the boards.
I like the Voodoo Labs boards, and I like the bags.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say... Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, but, I mean, if you could also, depending on your situation and craftiness, you could build your own, and you could easily build your own out of wood.
For sure.
You can make it out of wood.
Yeah, especially if you picked a lighter wood, or even if you could get like a very, like the aluminum rails, and then affix it to wood. That's the kind of the other option to keep it pretty lightweight.
Yeah. So I think there's options as far as
the board itself.
It's the board itself, because I've actually thought about it, because I'm putting a little board together just for the blues jams, where I just want 3 pedals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I could probably just make a little box, and that box could actually probably fit.
You really could. The way I was trying to think about it the other day was, I feel like you could make one that was just small enough, and that the power supply would literally just like go right up under like the slight incline, and like that would be enough, especially for like a small board, because that's the main thing. Like,
if I'm only doing 3 pedals, I'll probably just daisy chain them and call it a day.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's all. I mean, they're nothing. Yeah. There's going to be a tuner, a drive, and a reverb.
Yeah.
That's all I need. So I would probably just
as long as the power wasn't too shit at wherever you were at, you'd probably be good.
Most likely be fine.
But yeah, I kept thinking about that. Like, even like the smaller boards, hardly any of them are angled enough for a power supply, except for like the Voodoo Labs Tiny. And so it's like a lot of those, I wish they would just, even if because a lot of those power supplies are not nearly that big when you're only doing 4 or 5 pedals. So it's like, even if it was just enough to just put it in like a little. It doesn't even need to be in a compartment, but just something to put it under there so that you could still have an isolated power supply, I think would be handy.
So I mean, that's like.
But that does get into it. Power supply, we would recommend isolated. Like Ike said, though, if you're only doing 2 or 3, you can certainly get away with a daisy chain.
And it also depends on application. Right, I mean, if you're doing recording and you want to have very clean, low noise floor kind of stuff, that's a different situation than do obviously an isolated.
Right.
But I mean, I'm talking about going to a blues jam where you're going to play 4 songs.
Right.
And it's probably going to be like rough.
Right.
Anyway, because you're at a jam and you're playing with other people you don't even know. So you're there just to kind of cut your teeth. You're there to have a good time.
Right. How pristine things are is not that important. Yeah.
And it's because you're going to be in an awkward situation, because half the time the amp isn't placed where you want, the volume isn't where you can barely hear something. Right. Sometimes you're standing right next to your amp.
Right.
So it's
your shin can.
So in that situation, depending on your situation, if you're just going to jam with your friends and your buddy, and you're going to go smoke some weed and drink beer, I don't know that you need to have the most pristine thing. So taking that all into consideration, what you're doing, where you're doing it, all.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole thing. Kind of like we said earlier with the plan, like, depending on what you're doing, have the right plan and have the right stuff. That's why a lot of people have multiple boards, though, too, because, like, guys will have, like, their main gigging board, and then they'll have, like, a recording board, and some guys will even do a little travel and go board. So it just depends on...
Yeah, a little fly rig.
Yeah, so it just depends on what you need it for. In terms of power supplies, I mean, Strymon's going to be probably the quietest in terms of reducing noise and all that, but... Voodoo Labs, Walrus,
Quakes.
Eventide, all those companies are great.
Eventide's got the Power Max, I think. Quakes, is it Quakes?
Quakes, I think so, yeah.
Kiosk?
Kiosk.
Kiosk?
Is it kiosk?
I gotta call it
like a kiosk, is that what it is? It's just spelled all stupid?
Kiosks?
It's not like a
you
kiosk.
guys know what the hell I'm talking about. Actually, I want to talk to them because I like their.
It's probably kiosk. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
I'm gonna say Quakes. So if it's not, then whatever. You guys. So I like that. Those power supplies. As far as patch cables, I'd say just get a high quality cable with low noise. I mean, like the Mogami stuff is good for patches.
Right. Just check your cables is the main thing. As long as they're all. I mean, at the end of the day, the fundamental of cables is all pretty much the same. So just don't go too cheap, and you'll probably be fine.
Yeah, you can go mediocre and get.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Pig Hog ones, I've been using those and they've been fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, well, Ernie Ball makes some great ones if you're low on space. In terms of buffers, that's totally gonna depend again on like what Ike said, what you're doing. If you're a band and you're playing some big stages, then yeah, you definitely want some buffers in there. If you're a dude that's like playing in his apartment 10 feet away from his guitar or from his amp, then probably don't need them. A lot of like effect switchers though will have buffers at the beginning or the end that you can toggle on and off. So that's another option is like if you have a really big board, just put a buffer, wherever you need it in the line. And most fuzzes, I mean, it kind of depends. These days, a lot of the silicon stuff's not that temperamental like the old stuff was. But yeah, if you have like old school fuzz faces or any old, germanium style circuits or anything like that, or germanium transistor circuits, then yeah, you might want to put one after, not before. In terms of line drivers, again, that's totally depends. If you're a pro dude that's playing a big stage, yeah, you probably do want that. Especially just so the sound guy has a lot easier time.
Tuners?
Tuners a must.
Yeah, I would say like Boss TU3.
Yeah.
That's a solid one. It'll last you for 30 years.
Yeah, and a good tip too is like
blackouts are good.
Yeah.
The
Polytunes, obviously.
Polytune. I mean, there's a I think even Peterson has a strobe pedal.
Yeah.
So there's
even
a bunch of really good
to,
ones,
If whatever tuners your bandmates are using, generally it's a good call to just use the same one.
That way, you guys, if it's off, you guys can all be off.
Yeah, you can all be off together. Yeah. Well, yeah, because at that point, if you're all off together, you're maybe not off anymore.
And you're all on.
Yeah. And then flight case again is just. I would say that just depends on your needs.
Velcro, I'd go the 3M.
Yes, Velcro.
Dual lock.
Yeah.
Because that stuff you can get the pedals off, but they're solid and they work pretty well with the minis. If you're using any mini pedals.
Yeah. What's nice too is like kind of the way the pattern of the stuff goes. It basically makes everything click in line. So as long as like everything is correct on your board, when you put the pedal on, it'll kind of self realign. So it makes like organization way easier, I think, or way cleaner.
And it's just so solid because
it is. Yeah, you can pick the board up and like shake it, and nothing comes off.
And the pedal doesn't move. So especially if you got mini pedals, because a mini pedal on just a regular Velcro could
it can wobble.
It can wobble. Even some bigger pedals, they can be wobbly too.
Right.
Plus some of that Velcro, the sticky, the glue, isn't that great.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, it's a hot day, and then you move something, and then all of a sudden you basically just. The Velcro's still there.
Yes,
and you have nothing but a pile of
because the 3M stuff
pedals.
Sticks on there like
well.
that. Yeah, it sticks on like that double-sided tape, so it's like the adhesive is its own layer.
Yeah.
On then the Velcro is on that.
We highly recommend that stuff.
Yeah, just don't go crazy with it because unless you're like freakishly strong, it can be really hard to get it off of there. So like on your pedals, just take like the strip usually comes in like a 1-inch wide strip. Cut that lengthwise. So that you just get 2 little thin strips, because that's more than enough usually.
Yeah.
And then zip ties, I would definitely do zip ties. Good tip though is to go to the electronics section and get there are these little pads that basically uses the same stuff that the dual lock does in terms of the adhesive, but they're these little pads and they're like anchor points for zip ties.
Yeah, so it's a square that almost has like
it's almost like
pyramid.
A tent with no top.
A very small pyramid.
Yeah.
And you can feed the thing through.
Yeah, you put and it's super handy for keeping things clean. And usually, most people, because of the way pedal layouts, you're gonna have space in between your rows of pedals. So that's where I put them in. That way you can kind of keep everything nice and clean. So
nice and tight.
Yeah,
keep it tight.
Yeah, and then last, I guess that was all of it pretty much for that question. So that was a good question.
Yeah.
Hopefully I think we hit the PowerPoints of that one. I wasn't not the presentations, but like the actual PowerPoints. Last question was Jacob Pacheco. Is that how you said it?
Yeah.
You said, yeah. His question was P bass, J bass, or jazz bass, or Stingray. Which one would you choose and why?
I say all three because you should just have them. I mean, that's like the thing. It's like having a Strat and a Tele and a Les Paul.
That's what, yeah.
I think you should have all three because you should. Now, if I had to pick one...
One to live on, yeah.
If I had to pick one to live on, it'd probably be... Probably a J.
Really?
A J bass, yeah.
I was going to go P.
I just like that punchiness.
It is cool, like the P bass, I guess, just because it's a little faster moving sometimes.
Well, the thing is, I mean, honestly, I'd rather play... Well, we sold all the Warwicks.
Well, no, yeah.
I'm
even like the...
I'm a Warwick or even the Spectre.
Yeah, where you basically got a hybrid of the two.
Yeah. I kind of, it's that PJ kind of vibe. Right. I would rather, if it was me, I'd probably go with a Warwick with a PJ configuration or a Spectre with a PJ configuration.
Yeah.
So then I'm covered.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think I tend to like P basses more than jazz basses, but I think it's just because of the width of the neck.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing.
Which for you is not nearly. It's not much of a concern for me, but it definitely isn't.
I like a thinner neck on a bass than the actual the jazz bass. I like the sound of the jazz bass.
Oh, so it's more okay.
I like the sound of a jazz bass, but I like the playing of like.
So then, the PJ bass.
So that's why,
because then it's basically a P bass with a jazz pickup. So yeah. So yeah, I would agree. And then the correct answer is Rickenbacker. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And the answer is Rickenbacker.
But no, isn't that how internet, that's how everything on pedal boards of doom is? Like that's somebody will ask a very specific question. I've done a lot of research. I've narrowed it down to these three choices. Can you guys give me feedback on these? And some dude will come swinging in with some answer that nobody asked for. Out of left
field.
Yeah.
That's every guitar forum that I'm on Facebook. The same thing. Hey, I'm looking at B pedal or I'm looking at J pedal. Which one? Right. Do you guys have any opinions on these two pedals specifically? Only these pedals I would like to be referred to. Then there's always some jackass. Oh, buy a tube amp.
Yeah. Here's this other pedal made by a Romanian tree gnome, and you can only get them once a year when they ring a bell and
Right.
And it's
when the boats leave the harbor.
Right.
Right. Oh no, that's like the one guy we had a guy comment on an advertisement that we were doing. And he's like, "You guys never have anything
real
cool.
Guitarist."
Yeah, he goes, "You guys don't have any cool pedals that real guitarists would use." And we're like, "We have literally 1,200 pedals. And it's in stock currently.
1,200 different ones, not just
and so then I respond to him like, "Well, what are you looking for?" And it was like some obscure builder in Norway that makes one fuzz pedal. And I'm like, man, we can't help you, bro. That dude sells off his website. He makes two pedals.
Well, all three of his recommendations were direct.
Right.
Three.
We don't have anything cool here.
Right.
For real guys.
Right.
Okay, man. No, we just don't have your tree gnome pedal.
Right.
But anyway, we got to get rolling with this stuff.
Yeah, we started a little bit late because I had a weird morning, so.
Yeah, Dylan was saving
dead batteries and blowing out crotches and
Don't ask, people. Don't ask.
Maybe that'll be the lead in. I'll just roll with that. Dead batteries and that should be
your new album.
That'd be like a good. Yeah, I was just gonna say that'd be a good album. Yeah. Dead batteries and blown out crotches. Jake,
I have no idea. No idea where that album is. It a concept album?
It is. Yeah, it'll be the origin of how all that shit happened.
Oh, that's brutal. All right, well we gotta go because we got stuff we gotta do. So we appreciate you guys hanging around, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.